You know, they say eyes are the window to the soul. My music is the window to my soul. You know, but here's a little peek into my soul.
Want to love you in every kind of way. You should come through tonight. I'm chilling on the west side. Can you focus on me? You could do the best. She could play 5 instruments by age 3, wrote songs before she could properly spell, and published her first poetry book at 8 years old. But when she finally stepped into the spotlight, she did something that shocked the entire music industry. She refused to show her face. The world knew her only as h.e.r, a mysterious figure hidden behind oversized sunglasses who would become one of the most powerful voices of a generation. But the real story behind those shades is more incredible than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of how a mixed-race girl from Vallejo, California, became a Grammy-winning, Oscar-winning, multi-millionaire superstar while keeping the biggest secret in music. Yet, even after conquering the world, her greatest battle was still to come. Born Gabriela Sarmiento Wilson on June 27, 1997 in Vallejo, California. Music wasn't just in her blood, it was her lifeline. Called Urban Bushmen, and their living room became young Gabriela's first concert venue as the band practiced in their home. Her Filipino mother, Agnes, worked with rehab patients, but also played drums, while her extended Filipino family were all musicians, guitarists, bassists, drummers, and vocalists who performed at karaoke events. The Wilson household was a symphony of sounds, and little Gabby absorbed it all like a musical sponge. But here's where the story gets incredible. At just 3 years old, Gabriela was already playing 5 different instruments. By 8, she had written and published her first poetry book titled Anything on Earth Poems. Most kids her age were still learning to tie their shoes, but Gabriela was composing original songs and mastering complex musical arrangements. The family knew they had something special on their hands, but they had no idea their daughter would soon captivate the entire world. At age 10, Gabriela stepped onto the national stage in the most spectacular way possible. On September 23, 2007, she performed Alicia Keys' If I Ain't Got You on the Today Show, accompanying herself on piano with the skill and maturity that left audiences stunned. The performance was so powerful that it caught the attention of music legends across the industry. But that was just the beginning. That same year, she conquered the legendary Apollo Theater in Harlem, covering Aretha Franklin's Freeway of Love with the confidence that seemed impossible for someone so young. The Apollo Theater, where dreams are made or crushed, became her playground. At 13, she performed Alicia Keys' Fallen at the 2010 BET Awards, sharing the stage with some of the biggest names in music. By this point, industry executives were circling like sharks, all desperate to sign the young prodigy. And that's when everything changed. At just 14 years old, Gabriela signed her first record deal with Sony's RCA Records, making her one of the youngest artists ever to secure such a major label contract. But here's what nobody knew. During those early sessions, she crossed paths with legendary songwriter Diane Warren, the woman behind hits for Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, and countless others. That brief encounter would later save her career in ways she never imagined. In 2014, she released her debut single, Something to Prove, under her real name, and it seemed like stardom was inevitable. But then something unexpected happened that would change the trajectory of her entire career. The pressures of the music industry began to weigh heavily on the teenager. She was being molded, packaged, and marketed in ways that didn't feel authentic to who she was. Worse yet, people around her were making her feel powerless, as if her voice didn't matter. The young artist who had always expressed herself so freely through music suddenly felt trapped in a system designed to control every aspect of her identity. So, she made a decision that would shock everyone. She disappeared. For nearly 2 years, Gabriela Wilson vanished from the music scene. She took time to figure out who she was without the microphones, the cameras, and the industry expectations. During this period, she was writing, composing, and preparing for what would become the most dramatic comeback in recent music history. In late 2016, a mysterious new artist emerged from nowhere. She called herself h.e.r, an acronym for having everything revealed. H.e.r. What does it stand for? It stands for having everything revealed. having everything revealed. But ironically, she revealed nothing about herself. No photos, no personal details, no interviews. Just pure, unadulterated music that spoke directly to the soul. Her debut LP H Volume 1 was released on September 9, 2016, with no marketing, no promotional campaign, and no fanfare. Just 7 tracks of the most intimate, vulnerable R&B music the world had heard in years. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Despite the complete anonymity, the music industry's biggest stars immediately took notice. Usher, Tyrese, Push-A, and Wyclef Jean publicly supported the mysterious artist. Label mates Alicia Keys and Bryson Tiller helped spread the word through social media cosigns and reposts. Then in April 2017, Rihanna posted an Instagram video with h.e.r.'s Track Focus playing in the background. That single post changed everything. It was viewed over 5 million times, and suddenly everyone was asking the same question: who is H? The mystery only deepened as more celebrities jumped on the bandwagon. Issa Rae from MTV's Insecure, Tara Henson from Empire, and even Kylie and Kendall Jenner were posting about this enigmatic artist that nobody could identify. But eagle-eyed fans were already connecting the dots. When h.e.r. released a cover of Drake's Jungle, internet detectives noticed it was identical to a version that Gabriella Wilson had performed years earlier. The mystery was slowly unraveling, but h.e.r. maintained her anonymity, always appearing in oversized sunglasses that became her signature look. The reason behind the secrecy was deeply personal and revolutionary. As H later explained, "I want people to hear the music for what it is and not have any judgments or make any assumptions." In an industry obsessed with image and social media presence, she was making a bold statement about the power of pure artistry. Her second EP, her Volume 2, dropped in June 2017, followed by the compilation album h.e.r. in October 2017. The project peaked at number 23 on the Billboard 200 and earned her 5 Grammy nominations, including Best New Artist and Album of the Year. But the real validation came from her peers. At the 2019 Grammy Awards, H won Best R&B Album and Best R&B Performance for Best Part, featuring Daniel Caesar. Her featuring Daniel Caesar. As she stood on that stage, tears streaming down her face, she had proven that talent transcends image, that music speaks louder than marketing, and that authenticity always wins. The accolades kept coming. In 2021, her protest song, "I Can't Breathe," written in response to police brutality against African Amines, won the Grammy for Song of the Year. I can't breathe her. And I didn't imagine that my fear and that my pain would turn into impact, and it would possibly turn into change. That same year, she performed America the Beautiful at Super Bowl LV, playing electric guitar while singing to millions of viewers worldwide. But perhaps her most significant achievement came in April 2021 when she won the Academy Award for Best Original Song for Fight for You, from the soundtrack of Judas and the Black Messiah. Her dancing. Thomas Fight for You, Judas and the Black Messiah. At just 23 years old, she had achieved the rare EGOT pathway, winning Emmy, Grammy, and Oscar awards. I'm standing. I'm always going to fight for us. I'm always going to fight for my people and fight for what's right. And I think that's what music does, and that's what storytelling does. So the girl who once hid behind sunglasses had become impossible to ignore. Yet success came with a price nobody saw coming. In 2022, at the peak of her career, her faced her darkest moment. She was touring with Coldplay, performing for 60,000 to 80,000 people every single night in massive stadiums around the world. She had movies, award shows, and a packed schedule that would make most artists envious. From the outside, she was living the dream. But backstage in those lonely hotel rooms after performing for thousands of screaming fans, something was breaking inside her. I really had a moment of like, wait. What am I doing? And who am I doing this for? And why am I doing this? She would later reveal the whys that had driven her since childhood were changing, and she was terrified. For the first time in her life, the girl who had always known exactly who she was felt completely lost. The industry pressures that had driven her into hiding years earlier were back with a vengeance. People around her were making her feel powerless again, weaponizing her success against her artistic vision. She realized she had been on autopilot, allowing others to control aspects of her career that should have been hers alone. But then, in her lowest moment, fate intervened. During this crisis, she reconnected with Diane Warren, the same songwriter she'd met as a 14-year-old girl. Warren had been working on a song and somehow knew it was meant for her. The collaboration resulted in The Journey, a raw, emotional ballad that captured everything she was feeling. In one take, with tears streaming down her face, she delivered a performance so powerful it would remind the world why she was special. The song became a turning point, not just musically, but personally. It marked the beginning of her journey back to herself. But her story isn't just about awards and accolades. It's about breaking barriers and redefining what it means to be a contemporary artist. She's a master of multiple instruments, playing piano, guitar, acoustic, electric, and bass, drums, and more. Her transparent Fender Stratocaster has become as iconic as her sunglasses. Her influence extends far beyond music. She's appeared in films, including a role in the Color Purple musical adaptation. What can you tell us about your experience filming The Color Purple? Oh my gosh, I learned so much about myself, and I learned from the amazing cast and has used her platform to advocate for social justice causes. Her song I Can't Breathe became an anthem for the Black Lives Matter movement, proving that her artistry has real-world impact. As of 2025, h.e.r.'s estimated net worth is approximately $5 million, built through album sales, streaming revenue, touring, and endorsement deals. Her debut full-length album, Back of My Mind, debuted at #1 on Billboard's R&B albums chart, cementing her status as one of the genre's leading voices. Currently, H remains intensely private about her personal life. While there have been rumors linking her romantically to Skip Marley, Bob Marley's grandson, due to their musical collaborations, neither has confirmed any romantic relationship. She's entered what she calls her selfish phase, a healthy period of solitude where she's learning to say no and prioritize her own well-being over industry expectations. I'm comfortable with being alone a lot, and that's like really a healthy place to be. She explains this newfound self-awareness has opened doors to collaborations she never would have considered before, particularly with female artists who share her vision of authentic artistry. Her current projects include touring, working on new music that bridges the gap between her studio sound and live performances, and expanding her acting career. She recently performed with Usher at Super Bowl LVI, applause playing electric guitar during his hits, You Got It Bad and Bad Girl, proving that her guitar skills continue to captivate audiences worldwide. The Coldplay Stadium experience transformed her approach to live performance. Watching Chris Martin and his bandmates create intimacy in venues holding 80,000 people taught her that great performers don't just entertain their audience, they serve them. This revelation has influenced everything from her stage presence to her willingness to collaborate with other artists. She's also involved in mentoring young artists and continues to push boundaries in both R&B and popular music. Her influence can be heard in the work of countless contemporary artists who have adopted her approach of prioritizing artistry over image. Looking back, h.e.r.'s journey from child prodigy to mysterious superstar to Grammy-winning icon represents something revolutionary in modern music. In an era of manufactured pop stars and social media oversharing, she proved that talent, authenticity, and artistic integrity could still triumph. More importantly, she showed that success doesn't mean you stop growing, questioning, or changing. Her 2022 crisis wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough that reminded her of her power as an artist and a person. The little girl who played 5 instruments at age 3, published poetry at 8, and conquered the Apollo Theater as a child, had grown into an artist who changed the rules of the game. She showed the world that sometimes the most powerful way to reveal everything is to hide behind a pair of sunglasses and let the music do the talking. From Vallejo to the Grammy stage, from anonymous mystery to household name, from industry darling to independent artistic force. Her didn't just find her voice, she used it to redefine what it means to be an artist in the 21st century. And now, armed with hard-won wisdom about the industry, deeper self-knowledge, and an unshakable commitment to authenticity, she's ready for whatever comes next. The best part, this is still just the beginning of her story. The validation arrived fast, and it arrived heavy. In 2019, the h.e.r. compilation earned 5 Grammy nominations, including Best New Artist and Album of the Year. She walked away with 2 of the biggest prizes in her category, Best R&B Album and Best R&B Performance for Best Part with Daniel Caesar. The tears on the stage that night were real. For a young woman who had once erased her face from the equation so the music could speak first, the industry was finally speaking back in the language of hardware and standing ovations. Then 2021 turned the volume even higher. She won Song of the Year for I Can't Breathe, written in the raw aftermath of police violence against Black Americans. The same year, she stood on the Super Bowl stage and performed America the Beautiful while playing electric guitar in front of millions. Weeks later, she was at the Academy Awards, accepting the Oscar for Best Original Song for Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. At just 23, she was already walking the rare EGOT path. Emmy, Grammy, and Oscar already on the shelf, with only the Tony still missing. From the outside, the picture looked flawless. Stadium dates, award show stages, a transparent Fender Stratocaster that became nearly as recognizable as the oversized sunglasses, a role in the Color Purple musical adaptation, streaming numbers and touring revenue that pushed her estimated net worth into the multi-millions. The mysterious artist who had once refused to show her face was now impossible to ignore. But success has a way of circling back to the exact pressures that once made her disappear. Backstage, the atmosphere was different from the glowing acceptance speeches. The schedule was relentless. Award show rehearsals bled into late-night studio sessions that bled into early morning travel. People who had once been kept at a careful distance during the anonymous years now had clearer access. The same machine that had tried to package her as a teenager was still running, only now the stakes were higher and the voices louder. There is a specific rumor that still moves quietly through certain Los Angeles studio circles about that period. According to one version told by people who worked around her, 2021 awards run, a small group of managers and label-adjacent advisors began applying steady pressure for her to lean into the face more aggressively after the Oscar win. The argument, as it was allegedly framed, was simple. The mystery had served its purpose. Now that the awards were stacking up, it was time to maximize the image, increase the personal branding, and give the public more of Gabriella Wilson instead of only h.e.r. Whether the exact conversations happened the way the rumor claims is unconfirmed. What matches the public record is that she later spoke about feeling the old loss of control returning, the sense that her success was being treated as something other people owned pieces of. The weight showed up in smaller, daily ways too. The constant travel, the expectation to remain on even in private moments. The quiet suggestion that certain creative risks were no longer necessary now that the formula was working. She had forced the industry to listen on her terms once. Maintaining those terms while the spotlight grew brighter proved harder than winning the awards themselves. She kept performing. She kept delivering. The transparent Stratocaster still appeared under the lights. The sunglasses still came out when she wanted the boundary in place. But the same instinct that had once driven her into a 2-year disappearance was beginning to stir again. The girl who had published poetry at 8 and conquered the Apollo at 10 was now a young woman collecting some of the highest honors in music and film, and realizing that the cost of staying in the center of that attention was starting to feel familiar in all the wrong ways. The public saw the trophies, the Super Bowl stage, the Oscar speech. What they did not see were the late-night conversations where the old pressure returned, the quiet calculations about how much of herself she was still willing to hand over, and the growing sense that the machine had never fully stopped trying to reshape her. By the time the 2021 awards season ended, h.e.r. had proven almost everything the industry claims to value: talent, originality, commercial success, critical respect. What she had not yet proven, at least not to herself, was whether she could keep all of it without losing the autonomy she had fought so hard to claim in the first place. The trophies were real. The weight was real too, and it was about to get heavier. 2022 felt like the year everything was supposed to feel perfect. h.e.r. was opening for Coldplay in stadiums that held 60, 70, sometimes 80,000 people a night. The roar when the lights hit the stage was physical. You could feel it in your chest. She would walk out with that transparent Fender Stratocaster, hit the first notes, and the entire venue would lock in. From the seats it looked effortless. From the outside it looked like every artist's fantasy made real. Movies, award shows, packed schedules. The kind of momentum most people only dream about. Backstage it was a different story. After the final encore, the noise would cut off like someone had flipped a switch. The walk from the stage to the dressing room felt longer than it should. In the quiet of whatever hotel room the tour had assigned that night, different city, same beige walls, same heavy curtains, she started asking the questions she had managed to outrun for years. What am I doing? Who am I doing this for? Why am I still doing this? The same old industry voices had found their way back in. People who treated her success like something they had partial ownership of. Suggestions that sounded helpful on the surface but carried the familiar weight of control. She later said she realized she had been running on autopilot, letting other people steer pieces of a career that was supposed to belong to her. The whys that had driven her since she was a little girl in Vallejo, the pure need to make music, to say something real, suddenly stopped making sense. For the first time in her life, the girl who had always known exactly who she was felt completely lost. It wasn't dramatic from the outside. There was no public meltdown, no canceled dates, no messy headlines. Just a quiet internal freefall happening in the hours after the crowds went home. She would sit with the guitar sometimes and not play it, just hold it. The same instrument that had felt like an extension of her voice now felt heavy in a way it never had before. Then something shifted. She reconnected with Diane Warren, the same legendary songwriter she had briefly crossed paths with as a 14-year-old during those early RCA sessions. Warren had a song. She somehow knew it was meant for h.e.r. They got in a room together. The track was called The Journey. They recorded it in one take. When the final note faded, tears were still on her face. She didn't try to hide them. The performance was raw enough that you can hear the crack in her voice if you listen closely. That single became more than a song. It became the first clear step back toward herself, a reminder that the music still knew who she was even when she temporarily forgot. In the years since that quiet collapse, h.e.r. has moved differently. She has spoken openly about entering what she calls her selfish phase, a deliberate stretch of solitude where she practices saying no and putting her own well-being above whatever the industry thinks she should be doing next. The sunglasses appear less often now, but the principle behind them never left. The music comes first. Everything else is secondary. She remains intensely private about her personal life. Occasional rumors have linked her to Skip Marley because of their musical collaborations, but neither has ever confirmed anything romantic. She seems content to let the speculation stay exactly where it is, outside her actual life. What she does share is the work. She still tours. She still writes. She still treats the guitar like it is part of her body. She has expanded into acting, mentored younger artists, and continued to choose collaborations that feel aligned rather than strategic. The little girl who could play 5 instruments at 3, who published poetry at 8, who forced an entire industry to listen before it could judge her face, has grown into an artist who changed the rules and then had to fight to keep living by them. She proved that in an era of constant oversharing and manufactured image, pure talent paired with stubborn authenticity can still win. More importantly, she showed that even at the peak of success, you can still lose yourself and still find your way back. She is still only in her late 20s. The story is nowhere near finished. So the next time that unmistakable voice comes on, the one that feels like it was written for the exact night you're having, remember the full picture. Remember the child prodigy from a noisy Vallejo living room. Remember the 2-year disappearance when the industry tried to redesign her. Remember the sunglasses that became a boundary. Remember the hotel rooms after the stadiums, when the questions got too loud to ignore. Remember the one-take song that helped bring her home to herself. h.e.r. didn't just find her voice. She protected it when it was easiest to sell, and she fought for it again when success itself became the threat. What do you think was the harder fight? Hiding her face from the world, or finally having to face herself when everything looked perfect from the outside? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Be honest. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell if you want more stories like this. Next time we're going into the artists who tried the anonymity experiment and what happened when the mask finally came off. Take care of yourselves out there.